today, and they came early today to run through some sets. It's an open.
Let's go.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Let's go.
Oh, I can predict all the takes for this one. The Raptors drop in a blowout. Really, it got away from them so bad in the second half. I mean, really got away from them in the second quarter. 145 to 113. This new iteration of the Raptors usually breaks 130, but tonight it just felt like it was like you're grinding in mud. Is this an exhaustion game? Is this a schedule loss? Is this just tough? It's the final game of a long West Coast road trip. Everyone's probably thinking about getting ahead. It's clear to me watching this game that the Raptors did not come out with the right focus and intention, but it's also clear to me that they played a very different team than the team that beat them the last time they played them. When we go back into wins the Raptors should have had, I think of Charlotte, I think of Detroit, and I think of the Utah Jazz game in Toronto. That Jazz game in Toronto sparked a complete turnaround for the Utah Jazz's season. And if you really go back and study that game, and then you watch this game, you realize you're not really playing the same team. It's not just because they're healthier. It's just because they've had time to gel. The Raptors look like a very disconnected group out there. And if you're expecting me to come out and talk all sorts of crap about RJ Barrett, don't hold your breath. That's not about to happen. And if you're coming out here expecting me to say, oh my God, I can't believe we didn't take I can't believe we took Grady Dick over that great Keontae George coming off the bench. Well, definitely don't hold your breath on that one either. Look, man, I mean, the Utah Jazz are a team that move the ball, share the ball, play with pace. They have a lot of space. They're attacking. They're finding shooters. This is a team that's just playing beautiful basketball for Will Hardy. And I think it's great as a fan of beautiful basketball. I wish it didn't happen against my team. I was hoping they were going to have an off night, but this was a tough game. And for the Jazz, I mean, they are probably playoff bound or play-in bound. They are now 20-20. The Raptors, for their part, moved to 15-24. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about the vitriol. I don't care about the overreaction. I don't care about the hyping. I don't care about all of the hot takey, day-to-day, live on the sword, die on the sword stuff. I don't care about throwing any particular player under the bus. I don't. I think there are some players who played really well offensively tonight. We can definitely talk about that. We can certainly talk about what we saw from Grady Dick. Darko Rajakovic mentioned that he was on an 11-day program between the G League and the Raptors. And if you've been watching him in the G League, as I have, you'll notice that he's not exactly popping off, right? He's not exactly showing you something that's going to ease any of your doubts that, oh my God, we just drafted a really big bust. But I'll tell you what I really appreciated about Grady's game today as we move forward. First, let's take a look here. Okay, it's not pretty. You start Thaddeus Young again. Luckily, I think hopefully forever, Darko Rajakovic pulls the plug on it in the second half after the Raptors get smoked in that second quarter, opting to start Gary Trent Jr. and Jonte Porter in the second half. Big moment for Jonte Porter, who played 31 freaking minutes tonight, had 6 assists, 6 rebounds, and 9 points. He was incredible. The 2 blocks that he had were some of the most impressive blocks that I've seen a Raptor big man get in a really long time. And that might sound like hyperbole, but it's not. He guarded Jordan Clarkson, who was one of the quicker guards in the NBA and chased down the block and recovered in time, clean. Yo, there aren't too many big men who could do that. Most big men pick up a foul in that play or they get dusted. It was incredible. Like it was a really impressive exercise or exhibition in his ability to move his feet. I think he's really impressive. For the Raptors, they get a very efficient night from Pascal Siakam offensively, man. Just in terms of shooting the ball, 5 for 6 from 3. I mean, this is a guy who started the season out shooting 17% from 3 for months. 17 to 19 to 20% were his percentages. He goes and shoots crazy percentage tonight. He shoots over 80% from 3. He gets to the line. Scotty Barnes got to the line too. Pascal made his free throws. Scotty Barnes, work in progress. The Raptors just got crushed on the glass, right? 31 to 56. Yikes. I know you missed a few more shots, but come on. The offense is not the problem right now. The offense is not the problem right now. 113, whatever. Like the Raptors have been, over the last 10 games, I think they have the second highest offensive rating in the league. The offense is not the problem right now. What's the problem is your rotations, your communication, your compete level, your, guys are getting lost on almost every single play. And it's not just the guys that you would expect, the new guys, RJ and Emmanuel Quickly. It's everybody. Scotty got lost in a couple plays. Pascal got dusted 2, 3, 4, 5. I lost count. Dennis Schroeder, miscommunication. There was one play with Grady Dick when he comes up and Scotty is yelling at him to go and drop, and he doesn't, and he just lets the guy go backdoor. And luckily, it was a miss, but still, like the communication on this team is just it's disconnected. You're getting very dangerously close to losing your season at this point. You inch closer and closer to that 40-game mark, which is the next game. By the way, next game, not easy. You're facing Boston and Miami at home. These are not easy games. These are not games that probably any rational person expects the Raptors to win. However, I am noticing more and more the process. Now, of course, let's talk about the other players. Thaddeus Young starts, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 points, 0 for 1. Very Thaddeus Young. Okay. Kudos to him, commendable. He hasn't really played substantial minutes in almost a year. And, he's been thrust into this rotation because the Raptors kind of find themselves in an awkward situation where their roster is in flux. And I think, if you're Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster, you probably have to look at your team right now and say, are we actually giving them enough to compete on a night-to-night basis? Do we need a 10-day contract? I understand you want to keep that roster spot open because inevitably when you do trade Pascal Siakam, there are going to be more players coming back than are going out. I probably would assume, I would bet that because there's no player out there that you're trading for that makes $36 million. However, maintaining roster flexibility is one thing. Another thing is to start Thaddeus Young, a 35-year-old small forward, power forward hybrid at center against one of the bigger teams in the NBA and expecting to win that game. Like, I understand, where do you go? Where do you go? Christian Koloko is out with respiratory, issues. And I'm starting to understand a little bit about what's happening with him. And I remain hopeful, actually, about Christian Koloko that he will hopefully get back into the rotation at some point this year. I don't think I've ever said that on this channel yet, but I am starting to get hopeful that at some point this year he will get back on the court. I don't think this is the last year for Christian Koloko, so there's no point in necessarily applying for a disabled player exception to open up the extra roster spot for him, like the Bulls did with Lonzo Mourning. Wow. Alonzo Mourning. I just mixed up 2 players. My bad. Is Bismack Biyombo, a potential guy? Would he want a 10-day contract at this point? I think he's done way too much in his career to settle for a 10-day contract. I think he doesn't need to audition for anything. I really like Bismack Biyombo, actually. And I think that defensively, he would shore up. Like he makes you 100 times more competitive than Thaddeus Young tonight. I'll bet my life on it. He moves guys out of the way. He blocks shots. He protects the rim. He communicates well. He rebounds the ball. I mean, what the hell do you want? I mean, he finishes okay. He's a low usage guy. He doesn't disrupt your offense. And you have an abundance of offense right now. Bismack Biyombo would help you so much if your moment to moment, goal is to win games right now. Sign him. I'm not saying he's God's gift to earth, but like, you're starting Thaddeus Young against a team that features like multiple 7-footers starting, and it's not a viable option. Like Thaddeus Young cannot guard John Collins or Lauri Markkanen or Walker Kessler or Luka Samanic. Like he can't guard any of these guys. James Troy saying Bismack would be a great leader in the locker room as well. Hell yes, man. I have so much there are certain players that have come through through the Raptors organization where you just develop like a lifelong love for that player. Bismack is one of those players. There are quite a few of those players, but he's definitely one of those players where you never noticed anything. He wasn't a perfect player, but he was like my definition of like a perfect defensive center. Like he was incredible. And I was very pissed off that we let him go. And he retains a lot of that. He's 31 years old. That may shock you. He's been in the league for 11 years, but he is 31 years old or 12 years. Like he came into the league early. So I like him. And if the Raptors, you have Garrett Temple and he is fantastic, for your locker room and all that stuff, right? I get it. I get that. But man, like you are depth deprived right now and you have Otto and Thad, and these guys are trade bait right now because you're not playing Otto, and apparently he's injured, and you really shouldn't be playing Thad, but I guess he's just waiting to be shipped out. And I wonder if a loss this bad forces the Raptors' hands to make a move right now. Like take the deal, get your roster, because again, you are dangerously close to losing the season. Okay, I digress. Let's talk about this game a little bit more. In terms of Emmanuel quickly, negative 28, not his best game tonight. He plays 25 minutes, just, 0 assists, 15 points. But, it's not really his fault that he had 0 assists. Scotty played a lot of point tonight, like a lot of point tonight. Dennis played a lot of point tonight. Whereas, IQ played a little bit more off the ball. He was like more of a scorer tonight. Not his best game, but not his worst game either. He was remarkably efficient. I just don't think the ball found him enough. And I think it probably should have found him a little bit more. But once again, offense was not your problem tonight. Yeah, you got smoked, but you got smoked because you got outworked, out hustled, and just simply out executed. From the Raptors bench perspective, please don't look at the points, man. You get 15 points from Jalen McDaniels, who goes absolutely insane in his 8 minutes. This was his Olympics. This was his championship. Just watching this guy in the 8 minutes he played in garbage time, just kind of come in and be like, all right, I'm Kevin Durant for the next 8 minutes, and just go one-on-one against the Utah Jazz, get to the line, get fouled. I mean, it's funny. It's almost like the refs are trolling the Raptors by giving them so many free throws tonight. I mean, one, they missed a ton of them, but two, the Raptors got to the line 11 more times than the Jazz tonight. It's almost like they threw a middle finger up at Darko Rajakovic and said, yeah, complain about this. And ironically, if you were to look at the fourth quarter free throw disparity, I think the Utah Jazz could say this game was rigged too. Anyways, I'm not trolling Darko. I appreciate very much what he did and what he stuck up for his team. And honestly, when I watched back that Lakers film, that was disheartening. It wasn't just the fourth quarter. It was all of it. Dennis Schroeder, I think, was okay. I think defensively, very compromised, very difficult matchup for him. Gary Trent was invisible. I don't know, 22 minutes, 5 points. Hard to say, right? Garrett Temple gets the job as a small forward who's 36 years old, by the way, or 37. He's older. Like, I think he's 37. He played point guard for the Raptors tonight. And quite frankly, did a decent job Like, can we just acknowledge that Garrett Temple might actually be one of your 8 or 9 best players just in terms of like a sensibility of the game's position? That might be a depressing idea to just, breathe in, but yeah, he's not that bad. He's been a pro for a long time and like he's in good shape. Like he's a pro. He keeps himself in shape. So I don't know. Chris Boucher is just, I mean, you go through good weeks and bad weeks with Chris Boucher. You never know what you're going to get. But when's the last time you saw Chris Boucher play 12 minutes and get 0 rebounds? Were the Jazz just that good? Man, I think offensively he was very poor. I think defensively he was very poor as well tonight. Jonte Porter, as I mentioned earlier, so impressive, man. Don't let that negative 23 dissuade you from thinking like how good he was. I think 3 of your better players tonight all had heavy negatives in terms of plus minus, just to poke a hole into how stupid that stat is. And finally, Grady Dick. Let's talk about Grady Dick, man. I was impressed. Were you expecting that? He goes 0 for 3. He has 2 assists, 1 rebound. I think all the shots he took were great shots. He got blocked on 1, and then he had 2 threes that were a miss. I think the 2 threes that missed were not short. They were not long. They were not off. They were just in and out. Okay. Shit happens. Okay. But what I liked about him is, regardless of the fact that he went -8 in his plus minus, when he came in before the blowout, the Raptors were positive. There was momentum with him on the court with the starters. Now, obviously, if you put him on the court with Chris Boucher, Jalen McDaniels, and Garrett Temple, it's going to look worse. I get it. It's going to look a lot worse because Jalen McDaniels is a ball stopper. Chris Boucher is a ball stopper. Nothing is ever going to happen. There's no off-ball cutting movement, whatever. But to gauge it against, okay, well, head to head, we just saw it. I mean, look at a guy like Taylor Hendricks, right? He goes 4 minutes, 6 points tonight. Bryce Sensabaugh gets 5 points. Keontae George gets 9 points, and those are all rookies. And you, as a Raptor fan, are looking at your 13th overall pick, who went ahead of all of those guys, and he has 0. And I'm sure you're probably sitting here saying, Masai, what gives? Because there's probably a Bryce Sensabaugh fan in here. There's probably a Taylor Hendricks fan in here. Maybe, I don't know. And there's definitely a lot of Keontae George support in this community, just as there was for a lot of other players like Kobe Buffkin or whatever. But look, man, you need to be patient. Like I hate to keep being the guy who has to preach patience because like it's just true. I saw Grady Dick move his feet better and get to his positions better defensively against a really, really tough matchup in Jordan Clarkson. Now, I'm not suggesting Jordan Clarkson is Michael Jordan. Okay. Nor am I suggesting that he's nearly as fast as he was 10 years ago. What I am saying is maybe 3 weeks ago, he picks up more fouls. Maybe 3 weeks ago, he's later on his rotations. I also loved that he didn't force his shot. Okay. I like that he took good shots in rhythm. He continued to move the basketball. He continued to make smart passes. I also like that defenses still really respect him. I did not like the part where he felt like a little bit timid to move offensively, kind of stood in the corner. Now, I don't know what is being said to him or what the scheme is for him. Is he being asked to simplify the offense right now? Is he being asked to just sit in the corner? Apart from 1 or 2 defensive breakdowns on his end, I didn't see a player who was struggling to hold water defensively. I think he had a tip on a rebound. He had a rim contest. I think overall, like, this was a decent performance. Look, I understand that for a team that's struggling, there's always going to be the blame game of whose fault is it? Is it Darko? Does he not know? Is it Masai? Did he not know? Is it Pascal? Is he, mentally checked out? Is it Dennis? Is it Scotty? Is it whatever? I think there's a lot of collective blame to go around. But I think at some point as a Raptor fan, you're just going to have to kind of accept that this isn't going to be a year where you're going to win 50 games. You're implementing too many new pieces. There's too many things up in the air for you to be that good this year. But at some point, you do have to realize that these pieces are going to come together, right? And you're just going to have to be a little bit more patient with it. And I know that's not necessarily what you may want to hear, but it's true. RJ Barrett tonight struggled hard. He goes 0 for 7. But man, I'm not turning on this dude because he went 0 for 7 in the first half. He went 2 for 2 in the second half. I refuse. Like I just think that he's trying to do the right things, man. He's communicating, he's pushing, he's reading the floor, he's not forcing too many shots. He does get tunnel vision once in a while. This is a habit he's going to have to break. His passes are sometimes inaccurate. He is a little bit outmatched out of position sometimes. He is going to struggle in transition defensively because, especially with a quick guard going downhill, if he's already out of position, he doesn't necessarily have the lateral quickness. But, like I'm seeing a guy who is trying to win. Okay. He's trying to do winning things. He's not going out there. It matters to him. Basketball matters to RJ a lot. Like these losses matter to RJ a lot. Basketball in general is something that he loves. And if you caught any of the last 2 videos, you'll realize like I did a RJ and Scotty video today. Give me a W if you saw that video, if you liked it. I have a lot of respect for where he's coming from on a basketball perspective. A lot of talk today, couple things, number one, Carmelo Anthony calling him a bland player, saying like he talked to a lot of, New York fans and they think RJ's kind of bland. He's kind of meh. You don't feel him on the court, etc. Okay, man. He's 23 years old. Like he's 23 years old. And I know this guy cares about winning. And I know we have a development staff that is going to help him out in the best way possible. I know I have seen progression from him as a playmaker that I haven't really seen in New York. I see him trying to do the right things on the basketball court. Even defensively, I see him trying to do the right things on the basketball court. You did not trade OG Anunoby for 2 All-Stars. I'm sorry to tell you, you did not. You did not trade an expiring contract who is very likely to walk, who very much wanted to go to New York. You did not trade that guy for 2 All-Stars. You traded him for what is probably the 4th and 6th best player on a team that's marginally supposed to be better than you. So what you did, however, do is you traded him for a 23 and a 24-year-old that care very much about basketball, that talk hoops, think hoops, work hoops. I don't have any doubts that RJ Barrett is going to work crazy hard this offseason. I don't have any doubt about his practice habits. I don't have any doubts about his personality. I like that frankly, I'm just trying to be humble enough to remember where we were last year at this time, mid-January last year. I was watching Fred VanVleet hijacking offense, chasing the bag, Nick Nurse letting him, Pascal Siakam nodding along, no center. Like, I mean, come on, like, was that really better because you had like 5 or 6 more wins? You were an older team that was massively underperforming. I really liked Scotty's assertiveness tonight. He missed a ton of free throws. He missed 6 free throws. At one point, he was 3 for 6. Then he went 4 for 8. Like he missed a lot of free throws tonight. He hits multiple threes. He started out 2 for 3. He looked really offensively confident. Like he could do whatever the hell he wanted. He was very decisive. He was very sharp, and his handle was sharp. He ended up with 3 turnovers, but it wasn't like there was the one turnover where, he sort of loses the ball, fumbles the ball. And I could just hear every Raptors fan collectively saying, this is why he can't play point guard. Did you notice Pascal Siakam literally do the same thing on the next possession? Like it happens. I just feel like the Raptors, their focus wasn't right. They didn't come into this game with a clear-minded focus to win a basketball game. And yeah, they got outcoached tonight. But honestly, it doesn't even matter. The coaching wouldn't matter. You had dead legs. You're getting beat to every loose ball. You're late on all your rotations. You're getting out jumped on every rebound. Like you're getting beat to every single spot. You're just a step slow. And these games happen. Unfortunately for the Raptors, these games have happened a lot. They've happened a lot this season. So, yeah. That's also fair. Yeah. Mohammed lays, hi Rob, how is Mr. Doggo? So yeah, Sasha's had a really, really bad day. You can probably see it on my face. My dog has been very sick over the last couple of days. His vet exams came back. Nothing wrong with his blood work, but he has an infection which is completely disorienting everything about him. So his ears, everything. So it's going to be more tests, more vets, more tests, more vets until we find something. I just hope that he's okay. He's 14 years old, and yeah, he's my best friend. So yeah. Anyways, okay, let's talk about the team stats. And this is a call-in show. If you want to call, you want to talk, you want to discuss all the Pascal Siakam trade rumors that were going around today, everything that's happening, we can talk about that. This live isn't going to be crazy long. I've said that before, and then the live ended up being the craziest, longest live ever. But basically, we'll go as long as we need to get the post game. And once the post game comes up, we'll play that, and that'll be the end of this live. But yes, I'm here. I'm here with you. I am not inciting panic or vitriol or anything, really. The team stats very quickly. The Jazz get more rebounds. They get more. They shoot better from the field. They do not shoot better from three. However, the Raptors, apparently an abysmal 3-point shooting team, ends up shooting 50% again from three, which is just becoming a common occurrence. And unfortunately, shoot 70% from the line, which is also becoming a common occurrence. Like, go make it make sense. You know, over the last 10 games, the Raptors have been much better than league average in terms of three-point shooting. It's been vastly improved. Also, the ball stuck a lot tonight. 25 assists for one of the top 5 assist teams in the NBA is just not going to cut it. You got out-assisted by 9. You basically faced a perfected version of your own offense. You almost get doubled on the glass, 31-56. It just didn't have it tonight. You know, there's certain games like this where you say you just didn't have it. You know, they turn the ball over more than you. That was not the point. You just got crushed on size. And in the paint, I mean, again, almost double, 58-32. And let's not even talk about the largest lead, 5-35. Let's not even talk about the bench scoring and production dip. Like, the Jazz got 80 plus points off their bench tonight. Look at their bench production. 11 points from Olynyk. They get a whole bunch of 4s and 5s from the guys who were in the bench unit. They get in the garbage time lineup. They get 21 points from Jordan Clarkson, 12 points from Walker Kessler, 8 points from Ochai Agbaji, and 9 points from Keontae George. I mean, just fantastic bench production. And naturally, from the starters' perspective, you get a very efficient combined 42 points from Lauri Markkanen and Collin Sexton. So overall, this game was not close. This game was not very fun to watch. And pretty much it was over right there in the second quarter. Right there. Okay, we got one caller, Tetrahedron, awesome caller, called in very late last time. I loved this caller. If you'd like to call in, please check the link in the description below. Okay, Tetrahedron, what's up?
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Is it tetrahedron?
Yeah, it's
My
just a
bad.
shape.
No, I know it's a shape, but I seem to like have trouble with this pronouncing this particular word. Anyways, how are you doing?
I'm good, actually. That game, I was actually I was frustrated for the longest time, but by the end of the game, I was just like, so much was going wrong, and it was such a comedy of errors. I'm just like, it's just a bad game. It's just a bad game. It's just one of those. I mean, it's their third game in 4 nights, so it was inevitable heavy legs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was good. Like, it's not like everything was just terrible. Like, a lot of shots just didn't go in, and the Jazz had a fantastic game.
They executed beautifully.
Yeah, they might not have a game that good again this year. Like, I'm sure they're going to win a lot more.
They've been playing really well lately.
Well,
And I mean, we didn't do ourselves any favors. Like, honestly, when you allow a team to get going the way we did, and they start feeling good about themselves, and their home crowd gets into it, I mean, it really makes things very difficult. And they're already riding like a very good win streak. Not a win streak per se, but like I think they've won 8 of their last 10 or something like that. So, I mean, they have been sustainably good,
They
and
look
they're getting
fantastic.
healthier, and they're playing together, and they're a very selfless team. You know, the leaders on that team are pretty much selfless guys, right? Kelly Olynyk, fantastic, played really well. Wish he was on our team. And Lauri Markkanen was just awesome. So, I mean, you just look at that team and you're like, okay, this is a ragtag group of guys attached to draft picks that Danny Ainge just shopped together. And, you know, what you have is excellent space. Everyone can dribble, pass, shoot. And on the defensive side, you have everyone can just kind of block out and rebound for their size, and they can win possessions that way. I don't think Jordan Clarkson is anywhere near as good as we made him look tonight. I don't think Grady Dick is nearly as bad as the Jazz made him look tonight. But ultimately, it just kind of comes down to execution. The team that will execute will usually win.
I liked Grady. I really did. Because I'm thinking of Grady the last time I saw him play, and he was obviously slow, obviously late, and this game he wasn't so obviously slow, wasn't so obviously late. I mean, it wasn't perfect by a stretch of the imagination, but there was obvious improvement to my eyes from where he was in December. And I'm just like, that's good enough for me. I don't expect him to ever be Michael Jordan. I just like that he's getting somewhere. And that's all I ever expected from him. And everyone's like, Jordan Hawkins is so much better. But yeah, he's like 2 years older. So let's see where he is in 2 years, because that's when you can compare to Jordan Hawkins, because he's got 2 more years of NBA development.
Well, Jordan Hawkins was picked in the same draft. He literally went 1 pick after Grady, and I believe he's a year and a half older, not 2 years older. He might be a year older.
I thought he was 2.
That being said,
mistake.
he has the same amount of NBA development. It just so happens that Jordan is just, I think like when I was watching Jordan at UConn, I fell in love, right? I loved him a lot. I made a lot of videos about, you know, talking about getting him. And on draft night, obviously I have my fingers crossed, like, please, 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 he's on the board. Oh my God.
Right.
And ultimately, who am I to say that 3-4 years from now, Grady won't be the better player? Because again, no matter how hard Jordan tries, he's never going to not be 6'4". It's never not going to be a problem for him defensively to guard up. Now, he competes really hard, and everything I'm saying about Jordan Hawkins, I could say about Desmond Bane ×2, because he's certainly a little bit more athletic than Desmond Bane, and it hasn't stopped Desmond Bane from being a really good player in the NBA. That being said, if Desmond Bane was 6'8", we're talking about a completely different player, right? So you can't teach size. There is some element of that. There's a lot of guys in the league who have been passed up because of inches. And some of those inches end up mattering and some of them don't.
True.
And there have been a lot of guys who've been drafted based on inches on their hands, inches in vert, inches in whatever. And sometimes those inches matter and sometimes they don't. I am seeing Grady, you know, becoming a more focused team defender. I also see him really understanding the game. And it feels to me today, watching him, that while I do feel his nerves are still there, while I do feel the game is still a touch fast for him,
for sure,
I do feel that it is slowing down slowly. Now, when it does slow down, ultimately, when you take 2 players, one player is 6'5", the other player is 6'8", if you slow the game down for both of them, the 6'8", 6'5" discrepancy doesn't change. Their length difference doesn't change. How fast they run doesn't change. All that changes is how fast their mind is moving and how fast the game is moving relative to their mind. So, ultimately, I will give the Raptors scouting department a lot of, let's say, goodwill and faith that they knew what they were doing with Grady, that eventually when you start implementing the offense that you really want to run, that he will become a part of it. And right now he's just kind of standing in corners, and that's not his game. It's just not his game. You know, if I decided to structure an offense with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and I made Anthony Davis a stretch big, and I had LeBron running off of curls like Steph Curry, those guys would look really bad too. Yeah. You have to, you know, at some point you have to understand, like, I think not you specifically, but people have to understand. Yeah, people have to understand that unless you put a player in positions where they are likely to be successful, unless they're like Draymond Green or LeBron James, they're not going to be successful. You know, Scotty Barnes looked pretty bad last year. We're parking him in corners. Suddenly you put him at the elbow, you put him at the nail, ask him to play make a little bit. He looks a lot better, right? Have him attacking downhill. RJ Barrett, same story. Tonight, notwithstanding, you put him in New York, he's terrible, right? You put him in a transition offense, he's better. So I'll trust that the Raptors know how they want to use Grady long term. And I'm very happy that he was able to come onto the court. And unlike many other times that he's come onto the court, it didn't look like he was not an NBA player.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that might be a very low bar to set for a 13th overall pick for some people.
I don't think so.
But people really have to realize that he is a year older than a high school player, and he is physically on par with a high school player, and all of the strength development that they're doing with him. What I don't doubt is that this guy is going to be in the gym all off season, and he's going to come back with a vengeance. He's a very proud person, cares about basketball very much. He has big basketball goals, and I'll trust that. Now, that's not to say, Keontae George doesn't.
I understand.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure Bryce Sensabaugh does. I'm sure all the guys that, Kobe Buffkin, I'm sure they all have goals. But I would trust at the end of the day that the offense that we're running, at some point, a perfected version of Grady Dick is a very, very useful cog in that offense.
That's the exact thing I've been thinking since we got him. I was like, okay, I know he's an unpolished guy, but he's so young that we definitely have the time to get him there.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, like, oh my gosh, I'm saying at the end of the day, and every time I say at the end of the day, I think of Dennis Schroeder overusing the term at the end of the day. It's like a traumatic thing at this point because I've listened to so many Dennis Schroeder interviews because he's done so many interviews this year. The Raptors show. Okay.
I just imagine you waking up in a cold sweat and you're like, your
at
girlfriend's
the end
like,
of the day.
What's wrong? She's like, it's at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. So at the end of the day, oh man, I wish. Okay.
Yeah.
So, happy Bear saying at the end of the day, but that's a good observation. Interesting. I never thought of it that way. It is there is a relation to it. Yeah, I think we just have to give it some time. I'd love to say that, yeah, like you got to come out with more effort. You're losing and blah blah blah. All that stuff. But I, for one, am just looking forward to when a lot of this stuff clicks. I have 3 players now on this team that I'm rooting for on a night-to-night basis that are all under 25 in Jonte Porter, RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel Quickley. And a month ago, none of these guys are on my team. Yeah. None of them. And today, all 3 of them started the second half against the Utah Jazz on the road and kind of were competitive. So what I'm saying is that what I appreciate about all 3 players is they fit so well with the player that I obviously prefer to build around with Scotty, right? So it makes sense. The basketball synergy of these players makes sense. Now, there's a lot of ancillary pieces on this roster that don't make sense. Right. And what I am hoping and praying for is that as these losses mount up, the incentive to do what the Raptors tend to do, which is, oh my God, can we really compromise a play-in run or a playoff run, right? Kind of goes out the window. And for the Raptors, obviously, there's the added, they don't get the benefit of getting to pick high next year. They won't get another young player because they'll likely surrender like the 9th or 10th or 11th pick to the Spurs if they miss the play-in or miss the playoffs. But that all being said, is finishing 11th with a budding young roster full of prospects that can take the next step to playoffs next year, is that the worst thing? I don't think so. Is going into next off season with a much better cap sheet and a much better draft war chest of draft picks. Is that the worst thing? I mean, yeah, you won't have, the 7th pick, 6th, you won't have the 6th pick, 5th pick, 4th pick, whatever, but you'll have the 31st pick. Maybe you'll get another pick in a trade where, inevitably when the Raptors start selling, there will be buyers. There will be buyers for Otto. There will be buyers for Chris Boucher. If they start selling these guys out and they just go full on tank, rebuild, whatever, you might get a 2024 pick out of this from a general manager who just wants to keep the cap space for, maybe they don't believe in the draft or whatever. So, yeah, I think people overstress the draft picks. Obviously, I'm not happy with the Raptors trading for Jakob Poeltl, but right now you're sort of seeing why they did it, right? Because they have nothing else.
Well, also
But
draft
yes,
picks are also especially valuable in Masai's hands, historically speaking. Like, even if it's not that great of a draft, he might just be able to find that gem.
sorry, can you say that again?
Is my mic okay?
Yeah, your mic's okay. I completely lost focus for a second there.
It's okay. Oh, geez, now I've lost my train of thought. Oh no, what I was saying was about the war chest of picks not going forward is that the picks in Masai's hands can be more valuable in his hands than in, say, another GM's hands because he's so historically good with that asset.
That's fair. Exactly. And the Raptors have a track record of doing very well on the margins in the draft. Granted, they haven't done super well with Delano Banton, et cetera. But hey, you drafted a guy who's still in the NBA 3 years later with the 46th overall pick.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That doesn't happen very often. Delano Banton has had an actual NBA career, which means you drafted an actual NBA player. Granted, he didn't stay, he didn't fit, whatever. But he's an actual NBA player who's currently playing for the best team in the East. And he's not playing rotation minutes. Fine. What I'm trying to say is that when you consider what a draft pick is worth, a 46th overall pick, the median outcome for a 46th overall pick is they play 1 or 2 years maximum. You've exceeded the median outcome.
I'm sure there's teams that have drafted 46 and higher and have never got more than G League players just because they didn't draft well.
Right.
Not, they were sure they were fine people, decent players, but just didn't end up with NBA careers. A lot of teams don't have the best development programs either.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think right now what the Raptors have is a culture of development. And I've maintained that I do believe that they will need to trim up the fat, let's just say, once they make these moves, everyone can know, okay, we're here. It's the kind of the Rudy Gay thing, right? When you keep balls in the air, there's always some element of, yeah, I'm here today, but maybe I'm not here tomorrow. Once you clear the room of all the guys who are not going to be here and you talk to the 15 guys who will be here, regardless of who those 15 guys are,
there's fresh air in that room.
You can, exactly. Number one, there's fresh air in that room. Number two, there can be camaraderie and growth. Number three, there can be faith because guys can stop focusing on everything other than basketball, which is the trade rumors. I mean, I'm not suggesting necessarily that the Raptors were so distracted by all the Pascal Siakam smoke today.
I understand.
But man, it was all over the place. My phone blew up like 100 times. I'm trying to grab 2 hours of sleep between taking care of my dog, cleaning up after my dog who's throwing up everywhere and just falling all over himself.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I'm taking like 2 hours of sleep. And I'm not complaining. Like, fine, message me and it's fine. But like, my God, like I woke up to like 17, 18, 20 messages. Like, just my phone was just buzz, buzz, buzz. Is it happening, Rob? Because Shams or Woj or Chris Haynes or something reported that, the Pascal Siakam trade is happening soon. Now, I also have heard that it is happening soon, but I mean, yeah, like this is obviously dominating the news cycle. How is it that Jalen McDaniels or Gary Trent or Scotty Barnes didn't see this at some point in the last 5 hours? Of course they saw it. Of course they saw it. So yeah. Anyways, Tetrahedron, thanks for calling in. I asked you to call in last time. Great conversation as always. Thanks. The post games are up, so we'll get to that. If anyone wants to talk, they can call in again. I think it's RJ Barrett, and RJ, good for him. Has a really tough night, 2 for 7. Show some leadership doing a post game.
Yep. Thanks a lot for having me, and looking forward to the rest of the live.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, bye.
That's actually another Bueno Kitty. That's another player who could probably net you at least a couple of picks. Like if the goal is wholesale, sell your pieces and just not bottom out necessarily, but just like kind of pull the plug on the season because you're just too far behind the 8 ball, and you just make that decision to say, hey, maybe we just need to grab whatever assets we can for the guys that fit or don't fit. I think going into this season, there was a concerted effort by the Raptors and Darko Rajakovic to try to implement this offense and try to see who fits and doesn't fit. And I don't necessarily even think that it matters, that Pascal Siakam is shooting really well or that Gary Trent is not shooting well or whatever. I think you just need to really understand how they're fitting into your future based on how they're playing, based on their age, based on their contract status, based on their expected contract status, et cetera, et cetera. I made a video yesterday about the complex relationship between Pascal Siakam and the Raptors front office. I think it was pretty nuanced, in which I asked 6 or 7 questions that I think the Raptors should ask before they approach the table for an extension with an extension. I do believe, in my opinion, that it would be best to move on. Not because he's not a fantastic player, but because you're trying to do something else with your roster. That's just it. Okay, let's go to the post games.
Six game road trip. Tough. Me personally, I'm tired of road trips. But I mean, it was, they came out, they played well. You got to give them credit. They played well from the beginning of the game. They made a lot of shots, made a lot of tough shots, and I think for us, we have to continue to just learn and fight through everything, through adversity. I played like garbage today, so I'll take that one for sure.
How difficult is it to play without your big man out there on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, he changes a lot of stuff for us. He's
John Dalton family, I just ran out of gas with my daughter and it's freezing. I've contacted everyone, AA and police. It's been an hour. I tried to get help at the gas station and no one. I have gas. Can someone help us? John Dalton, I really, really, really hope you're not trolling, but this sounds very serious, man. Where are you? Arkansas. Holy shit, bro. I appreciate you messaging us, but most of our callers are from Toronto. But if anyone is from Arkansas, how can they get in touch with you, bro? Ghost has troll. He wouldn't be in the stream. He trolling. Sorry, I gotta check Little Rock, Arkansas weather right now. It's 1 degree. I mean, I hope you. Yeah, look, man, I really hope you get help. I'm sorry. I can't really do much for you. I'm seeing the weather reports that there's like, it's about to hit -7, -12 tonight, and I understand if you're panicked. Yeah. I realize that everyone's trolling you. It's just like it's just like from my perspective, if he's not trolling, like if this is real, this is serious. So I know we have a pretty international community. I know we have a lot of people calling from the US or whatever, but if someone is in Arkansas, I'm sorry, I don't know. If you're able to be on this live, I would suggest that you call 911. And if you're not able to get 911 out to you, the only suggestion I can give to you is warm your chest. So wait, hold on. No, that's the wrong advice. I think it's shit. like being in a freezing car with a child. Like, I don't know how young your daughter is. I mean, look, honestly, I don't know if you're trolling me, and I'm not someone who's very good at like, I'm not someone who's very good at telling if someone is trolling. I really hope you're okay if you're yeah. Do you want to call in? If you call in, like, there's a link in the description. You can call in. Maybe that would help us understand. But yeah, definitely call 911, man. Okay, let's go back to RJ.
Such a good player. You definitely missed that out there, but it's not an excuse. You know, you got to figure it out while we wait for him to get back.
And also just the fact that, outside of this loss, the previous losses have been 6 points or less since you came onto the team.
Against some good teams too.
Yeah, was against some really great teams. What has been the biggest takeaway from this road trip that you've noticed with this team?
Biggest takeaway, I think we had a great bounce back game after the loss in Sacramento, and I just think this team has been playing very well. Even Sacramento game, we were down big, came all the way back. So we have a fight and a toughness to us. A night like tonight is going to happen every once in a while. In the NBA, is not to say that it's okay. We got to learn and grow from it and push through and be ready for the next game.
When you have a game you've had a bunch of great games, and let's just say the Golden State game where everything's going right, and then a game like tonight where things aren't going right, do you ever go do you feel physically different in a game like tonight where you're just a little bit more fatigued or a little less?
I think everyone's kind of everyone's kind of fatigued at this point in the season, but it's not an excuse. I was fine. I suited up. I was fine. My shots didn't fall early. I got into a little bit of foul trouble. Like I said, I played terrible tonight. I take that one on the chin. I take responsibility for that. I'm not discouraged. Just got to come back and be better.
And then just in terms of, hey, you are new, Quickly's new, of course, but also Jonte. What have you seen from him? Because he's starting to get his first real minutes as a Raptor these past couple games.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of stuff for us. His passing, rebounding, his three-point shooting. He played well. Tonight he's been playing well for us. Another new guy that's kind of trying to get used to things, but it was good to have him out there and see how his versatility changes the game a little bit for us.
Well, we miss Yak, and we're gonna continue missing him over here for sure. But I think we have enough to try to overcome situations like this. I thought that start of the game defensively we did pretty good job. Did that first quarter. I was not satisfied with our offense in the first quarter. I thought that we were over dribbling the ball. We were getting in situations that was not our style of play, which resulted in only 9 assists in the first half. We did not get to the rim enough. That was just not us. And when we got to the rim, we were shooting 3-15, at the rim, which, again, that's not us. So it was a tough night all over, and definitely missing Yak out there you can feel it.
You don't want to talk about energy as an excuse, but where do you think maybe having some tired legs showed up? The fact that guys were settling, I don't think guys weren't really attacking the rim. And defensively, they really seemed to get away from it in the second half.
For sure. In third quarter, we scored 38 points. They scored 41. It was, and I believe they made 6 of the dribble threes tonight, which is quite a bit. But we did not have that energy. We gotta learn how to close the road trips, how to play those games away from home, and it comes down to that mental toughness and discipline. Not settling for some of the shots they were literally giving us, and actually taking what we need, what we want, and getting to the rim much more and finding open people. So I thought that offense really slowed us down in the first half, and it carried on the whole game.
You changed your lineup a little bit to start the second half. Porter, I could understand, and for that, what was your thinking with RJ?
Both of those guys, they had 3 fouls. I generally I like to switch up. I don't think that who starts the game has to start the third quarter. I don't think it's necessarily that. I hope that Gary might give us some life there and make a couple of threes, and also we needed hopefully RJ to come off the bench and give us that spurt over there. We just needed to try something. We could not continue doing same old there. So we're gonna continue trying to find the best lineups out there and best combos.
Are you seeing more from Porter that he can become like a kind of a regular part of your rotation? Seems to pass the ball very well, makes good decisions when he does dribble it.
Yeah, I think he's doing a good job offensively there. Pretty good feel for the game, moving the ball. Still he needs to have a little bit more confidence in his shot. I think he's a really good three-point shooter, but he's turning down a couple of shots just because he wants to connect with teammates. And, his teammates, they need to learn how to play around him and how to find him on the court. And then I think he did a decent job defensively as well in a couple of those pick-and-roll situations, even when he switched out. Actually he's surprising me more on defensive end in a positive way than offense. And, it sounds paradox when they score so many points, but actually he did some good stuff there defensively.
What are you seeing from the Jazz that they've been able to, now they're at a 500 record, but almost feels like a different team out there. Just watching, what are you seeing from them? And do you feel like the Raptors have it in them, or you guys have it in you to kind of have that same trajectory, that same turnaround around the corner?
Definitely working towards that. That's the plan. That's the goal. It was interesting. Last year they started really well and they fall off. The second part of the year, this year they did not start great, and now they're finding groom. It's with teams that are in transition and they are going through transition, like those ups and downs, they just happen. And right now they're playing really well. They got a great one in Fontecchio. He's really filling in great with the starters, and Clarkson coming off the bench, and just his ability to create points is really good. And I like Kessler. He's not demanding anything, but he always finds the way to affect the game. And tonight that was with block shots and just like some of those lob situations and drop off passes around the rim. He did a really good job. They're a solid team.
Okay. I really like the fact that RJ came out and just said he'll take this one on the chin. He didn't play well. I think if you're being very real about RJ, and I made a video today about Scotty and RJ going back to high school. It was a really, I really just wanted to make that video, partially because I think we're on a bit of a heater as a channel. Our subscriber rate is going up through the roof. I was just looking at it today and I was like, great. We have a real chance to get this up to 10,000 subscribers real quick. So I wanted to make a video that, would be an easy, digestible one, but not a fluff piece, something that I think a lot of people maybe don't even realize that these guys go way back. And regardless of the fact that RJ has not had the career to date that a lot of people would have liked him to, I think overall, I have liked his compete level and his pedigree and his maturity and his level-headedness and his ability to bounce back from tough situations, and his mindset. He's not a soft player. I like that about him. He has absolutely got holes in his game. He sometimes finds himself under the rim without a plan. He sometimes struggles against length, much like Pascal Siakam sometimes struggles against length. He didn't tonight. He made shots, but finishing inside was tough tonight. And, credit to Scotty getting downhill, getting to the line, really, really getting the respect of the refs the last few games I've noticed since that LA game. And really just initiating contact and playing through contact was good. Scotty picks up a technical, he felt he got fouled, or he didn't commit that foul on that Collin Sexton pick, and he had a point. He didn't commit a foul at all. The ball just went out of bounds, but Sexton took a dive. Anyways, let's bring on Ali. Ali, what's up?
Oh, hey, Rob, how's it going?
Not too bad. How are you doing, sir?
Good. the guy from Ireland again, if you remember.
Yes, I do.
Yes. I didn't catch the whole game today because I was at work, but I kind of caught the highlights anyway. I'm just on my break now, so thought I'd call in.
Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, of course. How was? I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch the whole. I didn't get a good full kind of, good grip of the game. Looking at highlights, it seemed like our defense wasn't there tonight. Anyway, I mean, our defense hasn't been great, but it seems like we just let them have it, especially in the interior.
Yeah. Interior defense is going to be tough. They're getting whatever they want at the rim. You don't have a lot of you don't have a lot of shot blocking there. I mean, unless of course you count Scotty Barnes, right, who is fantastic tonight, just kind of backside defense. But I think Jonte and Scotty did a really good job of trying to recover on the weak side. And with Jonte, he had a couple of, sort of like track blocks, which were great. But yes, there's a lot of box out assignments being ignored, defensive breakdowns that are leading to guys going straight to the rim. And look, these things happen for every team. Every team makes. If you really wanted to break down, like let's say like the Lakers game, Lakers versus Raptors, I saw at least 35 mistakes from LeBron James defensively that I could point out. And if I wanted to make a low light video of LeBron James in that game, I could make the case that he was like the worst defender in the world. Right. So, I mean, these things happen. The thing is that defensive breakdowns, when they do happen, likely you'll have someone to clean up, communicate, recover, or if they happen, maybe the other team just misses. Right. There's also that. And I think that in the case of the Sacramento game and also this game, I think shooting luck and shooting variance really played a part in it. It's just like they made everything. You know what I mean? And that can really break your back as a defense. Like when you're contesting and they hit it, and then they're open and they hit it, and you almost get the block and it still somehow goes in, it could just break your back. Yeah.
And this seemed like the worst loss since the trade, but I'm not too personally, I'm not too concerned. I think it's just one game, it's just one game anyway. I think overall we've played really good. So I'm encouraged, if you take the game out tonight, I think they'll be fine, going forward.
Yeah, I think overall, like, need to approach this from 20 game chunks, right? Like, what are you building? Because every night cannot be like your night, right? There's some nights where you're going to play perfectly and you're still going to lose because you're just out talented, outmatched. You're tired. They're not. You're having a rough shooting night. Shooting variance plays a huge part into wins and losses. It shouldn't play a huge part, but it always plays a part. Some nights it plays a huge part, especially when you take into account one team has terrible shooting luck, the other team has great shooting luck. I think both teams had really good shooting tonight. The difference was ultimately effort on the glass, box out assignments, and defense. And, Darko mentioned moving the basketball, like really just trying to shift the basketball. Because I think when you move the basketball, you also disrupt the defense, which puts the other team out of position. Like there was a play where I think Pascal got downhill. Then he passes off to Jonte Porter and he gets downhill. And then they get two paint touches on the same play and then they kick it out. That's different. But it's different when one guy just kind of dribbles into the post by himself and then takes a shot, because what happens on that miss is you have almost no chance at an offensive rebound. However, when you get a paint touch and then you fling it out to three and then you swing it around and then you reverse sides, now you take the three. Now there's a good chance that one of the players who's supposed to be boxing out isn't boxing out because they're recovering. And now you open up the gap to create your offensive rebounding opportunities. The Jazz shifted our defense. The Raptors did not shift the Jazz defense tonight.
That's true. And if you really look at our losses from since the trade, Sacramento, the refs in the last 2 minute report, he was fouled on three. That could have been a game time three, right?
Yep.
Lakers game was just BS, complete BS, right? And the Clippers game was very competitive. We were extremely shorthanded, Yes. We were down 2 starters. And tonight's game is the only proper loss, I would say, that we did not, I guess we weren't up to par. But I think the rest of the losses we could have won.
I agree. And, this was a really tough Western road trip. Overall, you played a healthy Memphis team and beat them. You played, granted, a pretty depleted Cavs team, and you beat them, at home. And if the Raptors are wanting to salvage their season, and I'm sure there's a lot of competitive and very, proud dudes in that locker room who are saying, like, we're not going down, we're not going to lay down and take this. And Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, like these guys, they figure to be in the plans long term. Those are the three guys alongside Christian Coloco, Grady Dick, that know they're going to be here next year. Everyone else, Jonte Porter as well. So those are the guys that can really starting to say, okay, we want to build this program up. This is the conversation that DeMar and Kyle had to have when We the North started. They were like, hey, if we don't do something, they're going to disband us. They're going to trade us all. So we need to start putting something together, and let's just see what happens. And they took it a week at a time. And it was a game at a time and a week at a time, and they've turned it around. And it's a remarkable thing what can happen for us individually, personally, obviously, in our personal life. Just say, I'm not I'm going to get shredded and get six-pack abs. Rather, I'm just going to go to the gym 20 minutes a day, and let's see what happens, right? So that compounding of, like, get your focus away from what's happened and what's going to happen, and just get it into the now and say, we're going to go out and play 48 minutes of the hardest basketball we can. We're going to box out, we're going to communicate, and we're going to take good shots. We're going to move the basketball and live with the results every single night for the rest of the year. And let's see where we end up. Well, I've seen some very historical, like, late season pushes from the Raptors in years past, right? The one that really comes to mind is when Vince Carter opted for season-ending surgery, if you remember that. And Morris Peterson and Antonio Davis lead the team to the playoffs, and then they have a very competitive, 5 games opening round series, which goes to the final 5th game. To those who don't remember, first rounds used to be 5 games, and Chris Krause just forgets to score. You almost beat the number 1 seed that year as the number 8 seed Raptors, and that was a very competitive, series. And it was a great team to root for, even though you knew you had no chance at a championship. It was just a bunch of guys playing really proud basketball. Jerome Williams, Antonio Davis, Morris Peterson, like, not stars. None of those guys are stars. They just played together. They played united. Chemistry is so important in the basketball, and the Raptors just have not had great chemistry this year.
Yeah, it's similar to maybe at a lesser scale to the 2019-2020 Raptors post Kawhi and Danny Green. We knew like they weren't going to go very far in the playoffs, but they were very competitive and they played good together.
Believe it or not, that team was, in my opinion, they had a sneaky chance at a finals run. No, because they were on pace for a better season the year Kawhi left than the year they had Kawhi. That's how good Fred and OG and Serge and Mark and Pascal were that year. I mean, it was
continuity as well, right? I mean, they knew
continuity. It was pride. It was the title defense. It was, it was.
But I mean, like as Raptors fans, like, we were hopeful, but I don't think we actually believed we were going to win the chip with that group anyway.
Maybe not win, but I think, if you get past Boston, let's see. I mean, you pushed Boston to 7 games. That Boston team was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And I mean, it almost happened for us, right? So I don't know. Was it 6 games or 7 games? I can't remember. I think it was 7 games.
It was 7 games. I think it was 7 games. I'm pretty sure it was 7 games. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very well coached and very well played series. And I think ultimately, you just take Pascal Siakam and convert him into the player he was earlier that year, and you probably end up winning that series. And then who knows where you are? Who knows where you are? Certainly that team, in my opinion, that team was better than the Miami Heat team that went to the finals a couple of years ago.
Definitely.
Or last year.
Speaking of that year, prior to that, when Kawhi left that offseason, Jimmy Butler was also a free agent, and he went to Miami that year. I was hoping, if I'm not mistaken, that was it. I was hoping, because Jimmy would have been a good replacement. I'm not saying it's Kawhi, obviously, but it'd be like a poor man's Kawhi on our team. Good defender and good finisher. especially near the end of the game. He was a clutch player anyway. So I was hoping, because I know he's good relationship with Kyle Lowry and stuff. So I was hoping Kyle kind of convinced him to come to Toronto, but he ended up going to Miami.
I don't think we had the cap space to sign him.
We didn't, did we? Okay, I don't remember that.
No, we didn't.
Oh, we did, because we did, maybe not, because we had the cap space to offer Kawhi. We had the board of directors offer Kawhi going into luxury tax, I guess. Maybe not the cap space to sign. Right, I get you.
We had a pretty loaded roster. I think also there would be luxury tax implications because that was the year that Siakam's deal kicked in.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot. I don't remember exactly.
That would have been a good addition if it were possible.
Yeah, I mean, and SP saying, did we have a chance to trade Jimmy Butler from the Wolves? Probably. Yeah, depends on what you would have given him. Anyways, I mean, look, I just think that, when I look at teams that sometimes just rally off like a 10-game win streak and you're just like, whoa, where did that come from? Like this Utah Jazz team, who saw this coming? The Memphis Grizzlies after they got Ja Morant back. Like, I mean, granted, it's Ja Morant, yes, but ultimately it's also like your locker room comes together, and I'm still waiting for that moment for the Raptors for them to be able to put together like 8 out of 10. You win 8 out of 10, you're back in it, right?
Yes.
So you just need one solid month, just one solid month. Tread water and get one solid month.
What's going to happen? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, and I mean, like if you look at net differential, right, which is, I mean, a little bit disingenuous, but also like a good measure. The Raptors are not a bad team. The teams above them barely have a better net differential. In fact, they have a better net differential than some of the teams above them, and they're considerably better than the teams below them. The Raptors have lost a ton of close games. Of close games. I mean, granted, it's also being elevated a little bit by like some of the high scoring games where they've blown out a team like the Detroit game, but like also like, I mean, they're losing pretty competitively, and that's more than I could say for earlier in the season. This game notwithstanding, this was not competitive. This was over I honestly was ready to pull the plug in the third quarter, 8 minutes in. 2 minutes in. Really? 2 minutes into the third quarter, I was done with this game. I was like, pull the plug. They don't have it. They're a step slow. They're not rebounding. They're not moving the basketball. It's over. And it never felt like the Jazz were ever in trouble in this game. Not in the second quarter, not in the third quarter, not in the fourth quarter. Yeah. I was just like, I don't know. I was holding out a little bit of hope. I was like, could Grady Dick come in and just score 25 points in the fourth quarter and just completely change all of Raptors' plan? I think that would be, But anyways, I have faith in the long-term vision of this roster, and I think not as much faith in the short term. But I'll be very curious to see how much of the reporting around Pascal today ends up being true over the next 48 hours.
Rob, I think a good push is coming. I think we have a good run coming. I just have that feeling. I think the way we've been playing, we have a good run coming sometime soon.
Yeah, and I mean, like it's tough because you're now in a weird position, but you're also like, I mean, for the teams out there that might be worried about Pascal's shooting, he just shot 5 for 6 from 3 tonight. Does that help? Because every single time I've talked to or listened to somebody talk about Pascal's, let's say, his deficiencies or why a team shouldn't trade for him, it always comes down to two things: he can't shoot and he might leave, right? He seems to be pretty much solving the can't shoot part lately. He's shooting like close to 40% over a sustainable period of time. Like he's been great.
Yeah, that's true.
He's been awesome shooting the basketball. He's been awesome. Defensively, I think he's still got a lot of work to do.
He does. Yeah.
But yeah.
One thing I want to say before I go, actually, because I have to go soon, but one thing that frustrates me is, God, that Raptors show on Sportsnet. Oh my God, that Dennis interview every single time they have with him. The last interview, I'm sure you've heard it. Anyway,
what happened?
They were comparing the guy who answers. I don't know his name. The guy who asks questions to Dennis generally. The host. Yes, him, the host of the show. He was comparing him to IQ. He was saying, your game is very similar to Quickly's. Your speed and the way you score, inside and out. Are you giving him any pointers on what to do and how to do it? And I'm here hitting my head. I'm saying, buddy, don't you don't need to suck up to him. I mean, like Quick is a lot better shooter than him, especially he's a lot bigger 3-point threat from the outside. He's a lot better finisher with the floaters and on the inside. I don't know why that show keeps bigging up Dennis Schroeder so much all the time, and a lot of things they say, I don't know, it just frustrates me a lot of times.
Yeah, I agree, and they do this sometimes with veterans. I don't know what it is about this team and this city that has like this notion that the younger you are, the worse you are, the more guidance you need. There are 23-year-olds who really do need guidance, and then there are 23-year-olds who are remarkably more mature than 40-year-olds. I've met at least 200, 300, 400. I've met at least 400 people over the age of 40 who could learn a lot about maturity, leadership, lifestyle, goal setting from Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly. I've learned a ton from these guys over the years, and I am much older than them. So this notion of appealing to authority being older, this comes from Fred. This comes from just, last year when Thaddeus Young and Scotty Barnes got into the spat, respect your elders. And I mean, I remember Brian coming onto the show after, and we talked about it, and it was just like, it's so weird. Like there's no evaluation, there's no critical evaluation of what was right, what was wrong. There's just this notion of if you're older, you're right. And I think this just comes from maybe these people were all like weirdly brought up by parents who said I'm older. Like it drove me absolutely insane when my mom said I'm 30 years older than you, so you have to listen to me. I'm like, you can be 30 years older, but you're wrong. Like you're just dead wrong. Like I was 18 years old at the time. I was just like, you're wrong. And I did the math on this when I was 12. When I heard this argument for the 180th time that year, I was like, this argument will literally never die. Even like my mom passed away when I was 20, but I mean, like even if she had lived a very full life, even today she would be able to be like, Robert, you need to do this, and I'd be like, but I don't want to. I'm 30 years older than you. Gotta listen. I was alive during the Nixon era, and it's just like it's a silly appeal, and the notion that Dennis Schroeder understands something. Like, can I just please present to the audience who might be against this point? Emmanuel Quickly, despite playing way fewer minutes in his career, has a higher value of replacement career total, higher win shares, I'm pretty sure, than Dennis Schroeder. If I did a career comparison between these two, if Emmanuel Quickly retired right now and Dennis Schroeder played 2 more years, Emmanuel Quickly retires as the better player. Come on, man. Like, come on, William Lou.
They need to put respect on these younger players and not compare every good young player. They're compared to Dennis Schroeder. And Dennis Schroeder, I think maybe because they have him as a host, as the only guy who comes from the Raptors.
I think you just slipped Freudian. I think that was a Freudian slip. They do have him as a host because they bring him on like he's royalty, right? Because look, in the absence of Fred, right? Look, like the Canadian media landscape is in a bit of a topsy-turvy place, right? Just got laid off from SPDN yesterday. There was a lot of talk about that on Twitter. There's Amit Mann. Yahoo Canada just disbanded, right? There isn't a lot of money in what these guys are doing. They have to create, like, honest question. Blake Murphy is awesome. Like in terms of, speaking facts about the game. He really gets it. I think Samson gets the game. These guys get the game. So I'll understand why people would tune in to listen to them talk. But the other people in this space, why would anyone devote any amount of time? Do you know how much it costs to like rent a studio to produce that show? Like, so this notion of, Canadian media is dying. It's like, well, then Canadian media needs to be better.
That's it.
It needs to be better. There's not a lot of money for beat writers. There's not a lot of money for content because people are used to consuming content for free. Case in point, this right. But new media, as Draymond would call it, has replaced old media in a very, very relevant way. And people only have so many hours in a day. So you are, at the end of the day, like with any business, like you're a doctor, right? Am I correct in that? Yeah. You're in a sales job. You understand that, right? you get it. You're a smart guy.
Yeah.
I feel it with you talking to you that you're a really smart guy. And I get that sense from a lot of people in this community. Like you're in a sales position, like just like, and these people are in a sales position. Everything is to some degree linked to sales. And they need to understand, what am I actually giving and what am I selling? But too often I'll listen to some of these shows and these guys ramble off for like 25 minutes about what bubble tea they like. I'm like, bro, you're dying because you should be dying. And this is not me having a lack of empathy. It's me having just a perspective on it and saying like, man, if I had started this live with like a 25-minute sermon about like what my favorite, tea is, people would be out of here so fast. You need to give people what they want. You need to give people what they need. You need to create some sort of relevance to what you're providing. It needs to be unique. They need to be able to get it from you. It needs to be informed.
I agree with you 100%. And you know how many times I've been frustrated listening to the interviews, post-game interviews, practice interviews of like last time reporters were asking Scotty Barnes about handshakes, teammates' handshakes. Like, oh, that must be really hard. What's your favorite handshakes? Who do you have handshakes? Let me ask them relevant basketball questions. What questions do you want answers to? These are, I don't care about his handshake questions. I do not. And it's an awkward place to put Scotty Barnes. It's so awkward, weird type of questions.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And there's a lot of stuff like that. And Jacob Isaac saying he's talking about Alex Wong. Today was Alex Wong's last day at Sportsnet. Shout outs to Alex Wong for a career delivered at Sportsnet.
I didn't know it was the last day today. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was his last day. So, hopefully what that means is more Blake Murphy on that show to infuse it with a lot more intelligence. And of course, like I have listened to, Will and do the Athletic pod and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, there's such a self-importance to media, and I don't want to like get into a war of words with people that really like I don't need to war with, but there is a self-congratulatory elevation of what they think they do. And I'm just trying to say, like, you're not doing what you think you're doing, because at the end of the day, like, what is actually, like, any person has about an hour or an hour and a half maximum in a day to consume, let's call it subsidiary or complementary content to the sport that they follow. Like, maybe it's ESPN First Take or whatever. So as much as I absolutely despise, the concept of hot takes and stuff, that shit is very entertaining when you're just making breakfast, debate shows where people are yelling over each other. Maybe for someone that actually serves some sort of market need, and if you can read the room. But these people like who just kind of like talk about their days on the podcast stuff, like it's just because you have a platform. And then to make matters worse, the lack of self-awareness to just say, hey, like, this isn't relevant to anybody. I'm just talking because someone put a microphone in front of my face. That feels weird to me. But yes, I think there has to be a grander mission to elevate the basketball commentary in a city. And I respect anyone in this space who's doing that right now, because there are quite a few people who are trying to do that and elevate the discussion towards analytics. And it's not just analytics, it's towards game film and breaking down game film. And there's a lot of people doing that stuff. So I am very happy as a Raptor fan that the content that if I were to remove myself as the host of this show and just remove myself and just put myself into the fan base, there is just such a variety of people that I could talk to, and they're offering something very different. I just think that as so many people have come into the space offering different things, the people who have the means to the studio access, to the player access, need to step their fucking game up. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
100% agree. 100% agree. That's the reason why I listen to you a lot more than I listen to any other, because you make a lot more sense than anyone else. So,
thanks. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Anyways, I gotta go. Thanks for having me on, Rob. Good chat.
My pleasure. My pleasure, man. Take care.
See you. Take care.
See ya.
Goodbye.
All right. Are there any more calls? We haven't had Coach Mo on for like 3 days. I need to check up on that dude and see if he's okay. I need to message him and see if he's all right. Yeah, to close out this show, I just want to say something. I don't know where the Raptors are going to end this season. I really don't. I wouldn't put it past this team to rally off, 10 straight wins, starting against a surprise win against Boston and then Miami, and then feeling good about themselves, finding some sort of rhythm and chemistry. I think they have really found something in Jontay Porter, man. I can't tell you how much I like this guy. I like him so much. Now, I think Scotty is I think Scotty has shown enough this year to say that you as a franchise and you as a fan base can absolutely build a winner for the next 5 years around him. What will happen after 5 years? Nobody knows. But for the next 5 years, you've got a franchise cornerstone and you've got pieces that are young enough to grow with him. Now, what you need to do is you need to clear out anything that doesn't fit on his timeline, okay? And to people who are, let's call it, I've met a lot of people who are very sensible who like Pascal Siakam. A lot. People who appreciate his game. Guess what? You're listening to someone who appreciates his game. And I'm not an idiot. Like, I break down basketball film. I watched basketball for 28 years. You think I don't appreciate some of the awesome stuff that Pascal Siakam does, or his story, or all that stuff? I get all of that. I do. But I have never met a sensible person who stands over this dude. Like, I have never met a sensible Pascal super fan ever. They are all absolutely deranged. Like, all of them. Every single one of them. If you put them in a room, like 2,000 people who are Pascal stans, if you put them all in one room, it will be the worst room in the history of human civilization. It's so bad. They make everything about him. You can't compliment any player on this team without them coming in and saying, you're trying to get rid of Siakam, you're a Siakam hater, blah, 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 blah. They're fucking crazy, man. And this media is full of a couple of them, like at least a couple. I'm saying a couple to be generous. It's really a lot of them. And it's like you're fighting an uphill battle because you want to have one argument, but they won't let you have it. Right? John Wheaton. I don't think that's a fair assessment. Okay, John Wheaton. I will beg you to construct an event and call it the Pascal Siakam Stan Super Party. And in order to enter the party, you need to pass like Pascal Trivia. Let's call it Pascal Trivia, okay? So in order to get into this party, you need to pass like you need to be able to draw back to like events in his career. Now, for the people who make it into the party, based on the criteria of that, I'll fund it. I'll fund it if you get like, no, I won't fund it. I got to fund my dog's vet bills right now. But man, if I was a richer person, I would fund this as a beautiful thought experiment. And just walk into that room and tell me like the conversations that are happening in that room. Is these people swear by him. It's like and the worst part is you can't say anything good about any player on this team. Like, you can't be like, Emmanuel Quickley is a really integral part of the future. And then you're like, you're trying to trade away Siakam. I get it. His origin story is very, very interesting. And, it's great, but like, you have to get real about this guy. Like, you have to get real about what he's worth to you, where you are as an organization, what you need to do. And yeah, man, like, sometimes you do let good players go. You just do. It's not hate, You're going to like play. Teams trade great players and good players all the time. The Spurs had to move on from Kawhi Leonard because it was time, because he asked to be out. The Raptors had to move on from DeMar DeRozan because it was time to turn the page, right? You have to, and sometimes you regret it, sure. But I don't think the Raptors will. I don't think the Raptors regret it at all. I think you just need to turn the page, man. You can't just cling to the past. Like, you just can't. Heard Levine might be traded for Pascal. Oh, please don't tell me that's true, man. That would be so bad. Our defense is bad enough, bro. We don't need Zach Levine. No cap. I love Pascal Siakam's McFlurry commercial. It's hilarious. And I also like McFlurries. They're also really bad for you, and you should never, ever have one. But I'm just saying, as a child, I really liked Smarties McFlurries. What can I say? Okay. let me if there are no callers, I'm just gonna take a look at something here. Give me 1 sec. Pull this up. Okay. Let's take a moment to look at some of the comments under the last live, the Pascal Siakam call the Raptors bluff. Okay, give me 1 sec here. I'm pretty sure they're going to be crazy. Also, if anyone wants to play a game of chess towards the end, I'm down for one game. Yo, man, come on. Why are there no comments? Or why are the comments not loading up? Okay, now I'm watching myself watch myself. That's hilarious. Okay. Simp Exterminator saying I might need that rematch, Rob. Okay, I mean, I can do that, no problem. I don't understand why internet is loading so slowly. You know what? This might have been a bad idea. These are all like really positive. Imran M saying I'm so down for chess. How do we play on here? YouTube have games or no? So Roger, so what I can do is pen chess. It would be called Pensari chess for sure. Okay. So at the 132 mark, let's turn this into a late night chess thing. I think we could use a little bit of distraction. We can continue talking. Oh my God. I can't believe. Oh, why? Oh, right. Because I started this after it was already done. Vote Scotty Barnes for All-Star. Julia Hayden, thanks a lot for the super sticker or super chat. Vote Scotty Barnes, vote.nba.com. I'm so sorry. I was supposed to remind everybody it was 3 times the vote yesterday. I hope that you guys voted multiple times in droves. I realize right now with the way his numbers have been trending the last few days that it's starting to become like, uh-oh, because the Raptors are losing and he's not necessarily, top 10 box minus guy. Being a top 20 box minus guy on a losing team is not going to get you into the All-Star game. I realize that. So this might just be getting away from him a little bit. But that being said, there's a month left. And what I saw today was a guy who's really determined. He came out and yeah, I voted. I did. Thank you guys. Yeah, I hope the coaches vote him in too. After Darko's rant, I think it did a lot to magnify him specifically. And while I know that he's the type of player who's a little bit uncomfortable with, having necessarily the spotlight on him, I think it's also worth saying like, yeah. Okay, so what I'll do, and I'll try my best to do this, is I will continue to talk about basketball while we play chess. So if someone wants to play me in chess, we can play, and that's not a problem, but I'll continue talking about basketball while we're playing chess, and we can talk about basketball. I won't be able to see the chat as much because we all know that I was pretty terrible last time. Okay. Oh my God. I got to get out of this. How do I get out of this? Okay. Play a friend. No, I'm not trying to play a friend. Why is chess.com so weird? Okay. Okay, so create a challenge link. Oy vey. Okay, yes. Okay. Okay. Pizza on the line again. I'll tell you what. We'll do a couple of late night lives and I will I'll give you pizza in person. Like if you we'll do like a pizza party or an invite or something where I grab you a pizza during Pandance. I don't necessarily like, I'm sorry, like I would love to just be able to offer people pizza. I have no idea who's playing, if they're, really good or whatever, but it may not seem like the ballsiest thing to do. But right now, I just really, if I can be completely transparent with 288 mostly strangers, I'm just a little bit worried about my dog right now. So, like, I'm not saying I'm destitute or anything like that. I don't necessarily want to be paying $40 to deliver pizza to someone if, the tests keep getting more expensive. So anyways, yeah. Okay, here's a challenge link. Whoever clicks it first plays, and let's see who comes up. And as I said, we'll continue talking about basketball, and yeah. Go get rest then. Yeah, my girlfriend told me that too, but to be honest, like it's fine. Okay. Sakiban or Sakiban. Okay, cool. All right. Okay. All right. Oh, another thing that I could suggest to people is oh damn. What the hell happened there? What just happened? That was very weird. I mean, I was saying oh damn, as in like that was one move away from checkmate, but obviously I could block it, but like what the hell was that? What? That was weird. Okay. I've never seen this happen before, so I have no idea. But typically, I think... okay, let's try again. Let us try again. SP, that was you playing? All right, let's try again. Why does this person have 9 minutes? This is so weird to me. Like, I don't understand what is happening here. What? Okay. Do I need to like go into incognito? Like, what is going on? This happened with Daryl as well, like where I couldn't send an invite link. I've never seen chess.com be buggy like this. Oh, damn it. What? What is happening here? Okay, let me just close that and restart it. Man. That was weird. Okay, let's start this over. Yeah, me neither. That was so weird. Okay, let's try this again. Why does it keep... You guys, okay, you're not seeing it, but like it just keeps doing this crazy thing to me. So, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out. And I am going to try to log in with my original thing. Which is to say, I'm actually going to put my actual chess account on the line in these games. I think it might just be a little bit less buggy. Oh my God. Okay, I now have my official chess account up, so hopefully there will be no issues because I have never seen an issue on my chess account. Okay, let's start this over, shall we? Okay. Okay. Okay, this already feels a little bit better. Here we go. Here's your chess link. Hopefully no more issues. I apologize for the extremely anticlimactic weirdness of this, but yes. SP, if you want to come back on and play. That was a really good attempt. Yeah. Facts. Yes. Tough loss. We'll continue to talk about the game. No, he's not 2100. SP, are you okay? Does anyone else want to click the link? Click, play, open challenge. There we go. Yeah, right. MBHF 101. Funny. Okay. That's, I mean, great. I'm playing a troll. What? Okay. Congratulations. I've literally never seen this opening. I don't think I've ever seen this opening. Okay. What? Okay. Bro, where is that Chris Broussard link? Like that little meme. What? No. You crazy person. What are you doing with your life? You need to get your life right. Bro, what the fuck is this? Okay. Dun 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 dun. What the fuck am I like? I mean, okay. Okay, NBA Chef 101, we get it. Can you please resign? Because there's no chance in hell you win this game. Like, I don't think you could win this game right now if you were Magnus Carlsen himself. Thank you. Okay. All right. So much for that. What the fuck? I mean, thanks for that. Like, I don't understand. Like, I mean, okay, cool. Okay, new challenge link. Let's go. As we're seeing, hopefully, no more bugginess. Luke saying, "I call that the Chev Gambit." Yo, bro, like, I mean, I'm not a fan, but I wouldn't be surprised. All right. Who dis? Oh, okay, cool. It's you. SP is back. Cool. Did your rating go up since the last game? So if I draw, I go -8. If I lose 16 elo. If I win, I get nothing. I'll tell you this right now. If you actually beat me, your elo is going to go up to probably, I want to say, like 450. Okay. Why? That's a mistake. In my opinion, that's a mistake. You're going to lose tempo on this. Okay. Okay, cool. I mean, you were very assertive, and I guess I really appreciate that about you. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, damn. You're like checkmate, quick, go for it, you know, every time. And by the way, my rook. What? Oh my God. I'm crazy. How did my rook get exposed? Sorry, I'm not seeing the game clearly. Wow. That is insanity. The idea that I didn't even see that. I'm trying to focus on the chat and this, so like clearly I'm not doing a great job of that, but yep, we are in some very unconventional places right now. Dun, 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 dun. Hmm. Yeah, you're in trouble now. I mean, I really appreciate the assertiveness, but you are definitely in trouble. I think you're in trouble. Maybe you're not in trouble. But I have a feeling you're in trouble. Yeah, you're in trouble. What? I mean, help me understand why you did that. I don't get it. Am I crazy? What am I missing? Sorry, like a lot of the moves you made earlier made some sense to me. Yeah, you're cooked, man. Happy Bear saying, I would play, but my IQ is like Precious in chess. Bro, have you guys seen that clip of Precious tossing the back, like the ball back? I can't. Yo, like, in fairness, you don't exactly have a place to go. Your queen is trapped naturally. I understand that. I think I should give you fair warning. You're like probably, if not definitely, checkmate. Next move. Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah, that's definitely the wrong idea. Good game. Okay. Anyone else? Final Bueller. Next. I had 0 blunders in that game. It didn't feel like I had 0 blunders in that game. How many blunders does it say you had in that game? I'm very curious, SP, if you can share that. I don't know. My estimate would be at least 5 or 4, but I mean, I think maybe more. Rob, let's go 20 minutes. I don't think people have the patience to watch a 20-minute game, dude. But maybe if I ever do start a chess channel, happily I'll do 20, 30, whatever. That's interesting. 1 blunder, eh? Okay. Cool. I mean, that's a relatively good game. 1 blunder, 1 miss, 4 inaccuracies. Zeros. Damn, that's cool. All right. One last game, and then we're calling it. Yeah, somehow I got to make these lives 2 hours. I don't have to, obviously. I just think sometimes it's cool to talk about chess. I don't know. What are other live streams like? Do other Twitch streamers just like, I know this is not Twitch, but yeah, anyone else want to play? I mean, I'll leave that link there. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm trying not to be too ungrateful as a Raptor fan right now. I've been wanting this team to play like younger, to get younger, this roster to get younger. HT963 saying, I'm going to practice like crazy for 4 days, then I might be up for a game. Cool. I mean, there's nothing really to be lost by going for a game right now. Can you give me a few minutes? Yeah, sure, man. I'll vamp. I'll do stand up. I'll do open mic stand up here. No, I'm not going to do open mic stand up. Okay, we got someone. Poop 3. Oh man, please don't be another troll. I can't bear it. If you move your king, I'm calling the game. Unfortunately, what? Apparently, I can win a point by beating you. Okay, cool. I am getting the feeling that you are not a 400. You're not a 400 player, liar. Okay, whoever the hell I'm playing, you're not a 400 player, but congratulations. You're definitely not a 400 player. But cool, man. Simp Exterminator, I can play you next if you're down for one more. Yeah, sure, man. Absolutely. Okay, let's see. Where are we at? Don't usually enjoy bringing out my queen this early into a game because you can get trapped if you're not paying attention to it. Yeah, it's as I mentioned it last time too. It's really difficult when the other person does not make book moves, if that makes sense. They say knights on the rim are grim, but this is probably not the greatest move, but whatever. Let's see. Let's see where we get to. Okay. Okay. This is turning into a very kind of, let's say, confusing game. Not necessarily confusing as it is just different and kind of weird. Kudos to the 192 of you. Simp Exterminator paunched a pawn to h3. Why? And there you go. That's decent. Let's see here. Oh no. Should I just take? I mean, that would be kind of stupid, but I'm winning. Should I just take it? Why? Okay, let's see. How am I doing on time? I'm okay for time. I don't need to make any stupid mistakes, but take it. Cool. That's not a sacrifice. He's pinned. You understand pinned? Like if he moves, why sacrifice? It's not a sacrifice. I got the rook back. You're not, sorry, no offense. You're not seeing the game, bro. I'm not acting like I'm playing some fucking perfect game, but like you're not. Okay. Like, do you understand that my next move right here, just for anyone who's clear, would be that, right? Now, Poop wants a rematch, but this was, I don't want to say this was a great game, but this is definitely one of the better games I've played so far. This to me is like, I don't want to say good chess. It's definitely not good chess, but it's better chess than was being played earlier. So I'm happy. Okay. Decent game. Yes, sir. Okay. Shall I play Poop again? Sorry, I feel weird saying that. I don't think so. Sorry, no rematches. Let's I mean, Simp Exterminator wanted to play, so I want to give Simp Exterminator a chance. It's not anything personal. Poop. Keep saying Poop because you named yourself Poop, so now I have to say Poop 25 times. That's funny. That's hilarious. Good job. Good job. I was saying sacrifice the rook to take out his last knight. Okay. I wasn't reading that, but yeah. Yeah, so I mean, like, you made a nice surprise move. Yeah, so like, I think so much of chess Okay, I'm not playing this game. Like, I'm not. Like, if you're gonna make a troll account, I'm not. Raptors Digest 101. Like, I'm not playing against trolls. Sorry. No. I don't want to play against trolls because you do weird things. Stop. Great. Now I have to technically abandon a game. Please don't. Oh. What? What's you? Moose? Okay, my bad. I didn't know that. Okay, let's play again. Sorry, Moose. Facts. Okay, here we go. Okay, I am technically playing a player who is rated higher than me right now. Although I wonder what your all-time rating is, but yeah. Okay, cool. All right, something tells me I'm going to have to focus on this game a little bit, so let me just close the chat. I'll actually focus. Okay. Okay. Cool. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, this is more of a traditional game. And I mean, like, typically, I mean, chess games are very varied in the sense that usually by about move 7, move 8, you're already into not very book territory, if that makes sense. I don't like this game for me so far, so that is already shitty. Yeah, I'm not liking this game at all. What? What am I missing here? Seriously, what the hell am I missing? I need to connect my rooks. Connect your fucking rooks, dude. I take chess very, let's say, like, intensely. Which is to say that, like, I remember there have been a couple of times where my girlfriend has, like, knocked on the door, like come in, started talking about something, I'll be like, shut. It is serious. Okay. And this is why you connect your books. So just to anyone out there who plays chess or like would like to play chess, I don't know. Effectively what you want to do is you want to get your rooks together on an open file, right? Because together on an open file, they can protect each other. There's a lot of theory about pawns, not trying to double pawns, not trying to get past pawns, etc. All of these things come down to formation and structure of your endgame and what position you'll be in. And I have found that the best chess players that I know typically view things in terms of like 3 moves ahead. So this was a big mistake by Simp Exterminator right here. So as you can see right here, this queen and this rook are now both forked, right? So I'm curious to see what Simp Exterminator will do from this position. Naturally, now because the rooks are connected, right? You see this right here. These 2 rooks are connected. These 2 rooks can at least defend each other, right? So if I will take this when Simp Exterminator makes their move, provided they don't have a counterattack that I'm not seeing right now, because I'm very sleep deprived and not probably very good at chess right now. So ultimately, what you want to be doing is what I was trying to say is that the best chess players are typically those who can try to see the game like 2-3 moves ahead. I think only the very, very best ones I've ever seen can see 4 or 5 moves ahead. Sorry, why is someone saying take his queen? Oh my God, Moose, I'm so sorry, bro. You lost 100. You lost 105 elo for that game, bro. I'm so sorry. Yikes. Oh man, that's tough. That's tough. Anyways, good game. No shit talk. What? Really? Okay, let's do a game review for those who are interested to see how terribly I played. Let's see. So for anyone checking here, I don't know, can you see my screen? No, you can't. Let me open up the screen which shows my review. This will actually be really cool. So I think for anyone who's really interested in chess, this is going to be awesome. Here. So here's the game analysis. So it says that I played 79% accuracy and Moose clearly did not. Played 33%. I played a 1350 game. He played a 1050 game. That seems about right. Although I'm surprised I played a 1350 game in the state that I'm in right now, man. I've been playing 600 and 700 games for the last month. I've been terrible. Okay, let's see this. Okay. So correct. So this is, it says it hurts my chances. I sometimes don't agree with chess.com in terms of the things they say. Why is that a brilliant move? Because it wins you a pawn. I think chess.com cares entirely too much about pawns in my opinion. So that was mistake number one. Where was your queen open, bro? Oh no. What the fuck? What? Oh my god. Wow. That's a fireable offense. Okay. Enough of that. All right. Thanks a lot. 190 people. Yeah, you know what it is, Simp Exterminator? It's different. Playing live for people, knowing there's an audience, knowing people are watching you. Like, obviously, I've played hundreds and hundreds and thousands of games of chess. It's different when there's an actual audience, and I empathize with tournament players who draw a big crowd, or people who play on TV like Magnus Carlsen, whatever. It's a completely different skill set because you have to process the fact that what you're doing is being judged, and here it's being judged by a basketball channel that I run. It's totally different, right? So yeah, it takes a while, but yeah, I pulled it. I was the Precious Achua of chess players today. I promise. It was all gas, no brakes. All right. Yeah. All right. Anyways, thanks a lot for tuning in to this episode of Pensari Chess. I think I needed something light. Honestly, I've had a very heavy day. It sucks, naturally with what's going on with my dog. The energy that I want to bring into these lives, I don't want to bring that into this because this has nothing to do with that. But when you're living out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours at a time of your life online in real time without editing, it's tough. If you've noticed, we've made 4 short-ish videos. People have been asking for short videos on this channel for a really long time. Yeah, we've made 4 shortish videos in the last 10 days. That's partially because I obviously want to grow this channel, and I think that the Pendants placements are a really good idea in those shorter videos because getting more eyeballs on it and seeing more passes sell, which has been great. But also I think it's partially because there are some times where I'm just feeling like really heavy and anxious about what's going on with my dog, and I don't really want to communicate in live because sometimes a troll will come on and they'll say something like, right now, if one of those trolls said, "I hope your dog dies," or something crazy like that, like I would probably snap. You know what I mean? So it's good to realize like when you're not in a position to deal with an onslaught of strangers coming at you. So I think that is worth saying. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go spend some time with my dog, and then I'm gonna get some sleep. Rage West promotion saying I hope to play in the future. Absolutely, man. Like let's be cool because I've always suspected this community was, I don't know, like maybe it sounds pretentious if I keep saying this community is smarter than the average sports community, but I've met too many people in this community in person and offline and just in general to not like know that. Also, I want to ask for a community member who reached out to me yesterday. If you are a doctor in the United States who treats cancer, who works with cancer, and you happen to see this video, there's a community member who could use your help. So if you could kindly reach out to me, that community member would be probably very thankful, because that community member reached out to me yesterday, and I'm not a doctor, so like, I don't know. HT963 saying your videos are like TED Talks for me. That's really cool, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I've been told by 150 ads over the last month that I want to bet that making a TED Talk is going to be the most rewarding experience of your life. And it's just like, probably not, man. Probably not. Oh, that's so cool. I just saw the Scotty RJ video 20 minutes ago and discovered you that way. Now I'm here, definitely doing something right. Yo, that's awesome, man. I hope I hope you realize it's not a chess channel. This was for the late night OGs who are here at 2:30 in the morning who just wanted to play some chess because we don't really have anything else to talk about. But yeah, I mean, sometimes, especially around the around the trade deadline or whatever, or free agency, we get into some pretty heated debates. So welcome to community, and thanks a lot for subbing. And yeah, anyways, guys, take care. And if you are one of those people who's just watching and you want to do something nice, I don't know, like the video, that'd be cool, and drop a comment once it goes live and tell me what the worst chess game you watched today was, because I saw a couple. All right, take care, guys, and have a great one. Rage West Promotions, Rob, if you did do a TED Talk, what would it be about? I actually already did one. I just didn't call it a TED Talk. So I used to go to high schools and talk to kids about, and granted, this is when I was much younger, it's like when I was 21, 22, and I still had connections with my old high school teachers. And I would talk about just rising above early issues, like early labels, like not allowing yourself to become pigeonholed into a box of that's the troubled kid, that's the stupid kid, that's the nerdy kid, or that's the whatever. Not allowing somebody else to determine your life, and not allowing your place now to determine your place 10 years from now, and sort of overcoming obstacles. And I shared like various anecdotes and things. And I got to tell you, for years I would hear back from some of the kids that I talked to, because I would give them my card at the end. It wasn't a business. I was doing it just because I wished. Actually, that's not even true. I don't want to say I wish somebody did that for me, because someone did do that for me. So when I was 16, I attended a lecture. It was an optional lecture, and I was very, very much hating my chemistry class. So it was a grade 10 or grade 11. I think it was grade 11. I was hating chemistry class. And I was like, they were like, if you want to attend this optional finance lecture, you can go to the auditorium. And I was like, hell fucking yes. This chemistry teacher sucks. No offense to that person, if that person ends up watching this. You were boring, man. You were very boring. Anyways, so I go to this lecture, and it's all about financial habits. And it was life-changing for me. Really was. Like, I'd already made up my mind that I didn't want to be poor, but I never really understood why my parents were the way they were. I never understood like why the people that were my neighbors were always poor. I didn't understand any of that. I just thought that's how you're born. That's the cards you drew, whatever. But in that lecture, one thing that stuck out to me was the person saying, your financial situation is your financial habits, and basically saying that wealthy people buy certain things and poorer people buy certain things. And effectively, what it came to be was, even though they buy some of the same things, the ratios are not correspondent. So for instance, like if you're wealthy, there's no chance in hell that half your paycheck went towards shoes. Like if you're generationally wealthy and you're generally good with money, there's no chance in hell that you spent half your money on Jordans. You don't. You might buy Jordans. You might buy brand name sneakers. You might buy like, I don't know what sunglasses are really expensive. You might buy those things, but that's not where the vast majority of your money went, unless you're an athlete or a model or an actor or something. Like if you're actually financially sensible, that's a very small portion. But that's the outward stuff that people see. They don't see your, stock portfolio. They don't see the antique collectibles. They don't see whatever precious metals and gold that you've invested in. They don't see what collector's items you might have invested in. They don't see properties that you might be investing in. They don't see all of that, because that's below the surface. You know what I mean? Like I remember a friend of mine who's a bank teller. She said that I remember she told me, she was like, there was a homeless person around Sherburne and Bloor who used to come in every single day to deposit all their money. And she said, Rob, would you believe that this person had $38,000 in their bank account? And I was like, holy shit, that's way more than the average person in Canada. Well, I'll say the average person, but that's way more than a lot of people in Canada who have houses, and those people are like living large. So, it's about appearances, and I guess, yeah, I've gone off track, but effectively, if I did a TED Talk, it would be about not letting the world define you for you. and allowing yourself the birthright, really, to define who you're going to be as a human being. And, not being shaped by, well, you come from this place, or you're from this country, or you have a speech impediment or whatever, and therefore you are going to be this forever. I had a lot of people, growing up around me, and we all got the same messaging from our teachers that we were not going to amount to anything or whatever. I had a police officer tell me when I was in grade 11 that I was going to become a criminal. Damn, so many people tried to tell me that I was going to become an abusive, deadbeat drunk, or that I was going to become like this, or I was going to become like that. And in my head, it was like, none of this matters until I believe it. If I believe it, it'll become true. But if I don't believe it, if I continue to keep my vision alive, and sometimes after a really, really hard day in which, they try to tell you that you're going to be an angry failure, and you're angry and failing that day, it starts to make you think like, man, maybe they're right. Like maybe, if someone tells you you're worthless every day for like your whole childhood, and then at some point you receive some validation that might perhaps prove for a minute that you are worthless, you do start to feel it. You start to think, maybe all these people are right. Maybe I will amount to nothing. Like when your grades start to slip and everyone's been telling you your whole life you're going to be a deadbeat, drunk, broke, person on welfare, and you're going to amount to nothing and whatever. Maybe when you fail, a couple classes, you'd be like, all right, maybe they were right. Maybe I can't beat this. But I always try to tell myself that if I don't believe it, like until I believe it, it doesn't become true. You know what I mean? Like until I start to believe the things that they are saying that I will be or won't be, And I remember very early actually. I remember I had a boss when I was 13 years old. 13 years old, okay? And I was making $5 an hour, and I was hustling for sure. I was hustling. Yo, She-Wolf, you got to bring you on the payroll, and you can be the person who monetizes all of this and makes money off it, man. So what I'm trying to say is that, so I was working $5 an hour, super illegal, but whatever, cash job. I needed the money. I wanted the money. It was a lot of money to me. Initially, my motivation is to like get a basketball jersey, and like, I think I wanted like a Rasheed Wallace jersey. I think that was my big motivation. And I ended up like going for the Tim Duncan jersey, and that ended up being like my big first paycheck thing, a Tim Duncan jersey. I wore it every day. So I still have that jersey. Champion jerseys last forever. Anyways, I digress. So I remember one day my boss, should I admit this? Should I admit this on air? I've hardly admitted this to friends. When I was younger, oh man, this might be one of those things that gets you in trouble. So I had allergies constantly to ragweed, pollen, etc. And sometimes I would take Claritin or Benadryl or whatever, and it would make me super drowsy. And so sometimes when I get drowsy, I would become very unfocused. I guess that's the definition of drowsy. And so I wouldn't be paying attention to what I was doing. And then one time I was stacking up paper towels, and I was taking them down, and I thought that he'd said take them down, but he had said to put them up. So you can imagine like how a grocery store aisle works. He's putting them up on one end, and I'm taking them down on the other end. Imagine this dude's surprise when he gets to stacking all these things, and he comes down to the other end. I've been unstacking them. He lost his mind. He nearly put hands on me, which was crazy, right? Because I was 13 years old. He raised his hand at me. He docked my pay for that, and then he put me in the freezer room to basically stack milk for the next 3 hours of my shift. And he would always do this crazy thing where right as my shift was ending, he would be like, oh, can you do me one last favor? Can you go and get me this beef patty, or can you get me whatever? And I would do this run for him, and it would always take me past my time. And I thought that he was exploiting me. So anyways, long story short, I found a little loophole, which is that every single time the Playboy and Hustler magazines came in, You can't get arrested for a crime you committed when you're 13, right? You can't. Like, I was a kid, whatever, in another country. Fuck it. Who cares? Whatever. So what I would do is every single time those Playboy and Hustler magazines came in, I noticed this guy was really bad with tracking, like inventory. I just noticed that it was an inefficiency that I noticed with him when he was 13. So what I would do is while I was putting away the recycling, I would just gently drop one of them into the recycling, like sealed into the recycling, right? Thank you. So I would drop one of them into the recycling, and then at the end of my shift, I always took out the garbage in the recycling and I put it away. And I would come back like an hour later and I would open up the recycling and I would pull that out. Now, did I pull that out for personal gratification? No. I probably looked at the first one for sure. But after that, I realized that kids are not allowed to access these things. And I have a whole bunch of kids who have birthdays every single day at school. Like every single third, fourth day, there's a kid with a birthday. So I would just figure out who was getting the grandma money. And I would just say, like, yeah, if you want to buy this, like, it's $40, $50. So I would try to sell it. So yeah, that's the first side hustle. Then there was another side hustle where, I would find things on the street that were like loosely discarded and I would try to fix them, like a microwave or a vacuum cleaner or a table that, you just had to varnish and refinish and then you could resell it. And even back then there was like a slowly growing community of places where you could post things, or in my building, they had like things for sale all the time. So if I found a table that I thought was really nice, what I would do is I would go to the hardware store, get some sandpaper, sand it down, varnish it, because I learned to do that in school. And then I would try to resell it for like $50, $60. And then I would negate the cost of like maybe $15 and then I'd pocket the 35. And that's basically like a finder's fee. And I did that like my whole childhood, trying to do stuff like that. Anyways, long story short, the before I got dropped from that, the guy was telling me, he's like, what do you buy with your money? Right? Like, what do you buy with your money? Like, we pay you like, I don't know, $180 a week for the hours you spend here. What do you buy with your money? And I was like, I don't buy anything with money. And he's like, so why are you working? Like, most kids are they're trying to buy drugs, they're trying to buy whatever. What are you working for? And I'm like, oh, I want to buy a house. And he's like, you're never going to buy a house. He said that to me. He's like, you're never going to buy a house. Like, he just basically straight up shot it down. And I remember that. And I remember thinking to myself, bet. Like, not that exact word, but I thought to myself, bet. And I just kept working and I kept working. And that's where it is. Somebody told you can't do something and I'm not going to believe it. That's just it. So exactly. No, I don't like, yeah, I used to do flooring exactly. Like, that's exactly it. Right. Like, when I was 16, I would look up for any labor jobs at night, which is weird, but like 16, 17, you would look for, assistant carpentry. There would always be like these odd jobs that need to be done. Sometimes like there's an all night flooring job. And as long as you connect with the people, even like someone who needs like, and I just learned how to do all these things slowly. Like I don't know, like everything in this house, I did. I built my kitchen. I put in my floors. I did the tiles. I did it. So yeah. Anyways, so what I'm saying is, like, I've had bosses tell me that I will never exceed this mark or buy this or be able to do that. Even when we started this Pensar basketball thing, someone told me very early in this process that I would be, hold on, what was it? It'll be 2 years before you see a profit. It's really hard to get 1,000 subscribers. I think we got 1,000 subscribers like the first month I put any effort into this. It's not like me saying like, oh, look how good. There's so many millions of things to do. I remember like, when I wanted to become a cinematographer and I was a director and I started telling the cinematographer that he's like, oh, you're going to be making $200 a shoot for years. That's what I'm making. And then I think like the third job that I got, I asked for 500 and they paid it. So it's like, just the concept of this is just to make up your mind about what you're going to do. Obviously take feedback from people who are credible, but don't take feedback from people who haven't done what you've done or want to do. Like, if they failed, they want to tell you, because it's like, think about it this way. If you failed in life, what is it that you're seeking in the world. You're probably looking for other people who are trying to do things to warn them that they're going to fail too, because you want, I think it's just the greatest life advice ever that I received was don't surround yourself with broken people. Don't surround yourself with people who failed, you know? Did I buy a house? Technically not a house, but I did buy a condo. I did buy a condo before my 20th birthday, and I'm still paying it off to this day, but whatever, you know? So yeah, I mean, I achieved a dream that my parents did not. And I think if you're an immigrant, like that's something that you can, I'm retired from practice now, but started my law practice years ago as a going concern. It's doable. People lack imagination. Guy was unimaginative. Good for you for persevering. Facts. Yeah, I mean, look, even like the film festival, they said you can't start a film festival in winter. And I said, why not? Why can't we start a film festival in the winter? And they were like, well, because nobody from the US and nobody from international places, nobody from these other countries is going to come to Canada during the winter. Well, guess what? Proven wrong again. The festival thrived prior to COVID. It was like the fastest growing film festival in the world. It was doing really well. We had people from Austria, Germany. People loved us. There's people in Japan. We've had guests from everywhere. We've had guests from really hot regions too, like Texas, you know. And yeah, it was cold. It was really cold. Like Pendants 2019 was super cold. I think our first day was -30. That sucked. But it was -28 or -30. So it's like exactly. But it is in Utah. That's fair. And honestly, the Sundance thing is exactly what we were thinking, because Sundance is like one of the biggest film festivals in the world. And then if you're thinking about like how films run today, you have a film that goes like to the festival circuit to Netflix. And it usually happens within 3 months because piracy is like crazy. And these profit margins are like, people really don't, we don't see those extended like 9 months in the theaters, then release type of shit anymore, right? So if a film goes to Sundance, it almost never comes to Canada. And I was like, here's a market inefficiency. Let's start a film festival that happens 2-3 weeks after Sundance, so that maybe 8 to 10 years in, all those filmmakers who go to Slamdance and Sundance and can't come to Canada will come to Pendance. It just made sense. And so it's happened. It's sort of happened. I think we need to get a little bit larger. I'm not very good at writing grants and applying for grants. I think it's something in my brain that says, don't ask the government for help. So I don't. But we need to get a lot better at this. The Pendance has been awesome. It's been a great learning experience for me. It's been fascinating. It's made me a better filmmaker. I think it's made me a better content creator. So yeah, I think unintentionally you're giving a TED Talk. The worst sleep deprived TED Talk at 2:50, indeed. Anyways, I agree. She will say, Sheridan, you have such good energy. Yeah, man. I don't think I've necessarily ever seen a chat where I was not completely amazed by Sheridan saying, like this chat, like this video. Like, it's just such a altruistic, beautiful energy. Sheridan, I hope I meet you someday at Pendance or, you know, on the street or something. Please introduce yourself if you ever see me. Like, I really appreciate, you know, just your generosity and kindness, like your spirit of kindness. I think it disrupts some of the toxicity that can sometimes exist in these chats. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot for hanging with me. I'd keep going and going and going until we end up with like 92 people in this chat. To those of you who are kind of like, maybe off the Raptors bandwagon for now, it's going to be bad. Maybe I'm checking out again. I checked in for a bit. It was exciting, but now it's over. I'm not telling you how to be a fan. I'm not. All I can tell you is I'm a fan. Like, I'm a fan of what the Raptors are doing. I hope they will continue this thought out fully. And that means, you know, making the necessary moves of the rest of this roster. But I'm very, very optimistic about the future ahead for the Raptors. I've seen a lot of young teams go through and take their bumps, you know, from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Believe me, the OKC Thunder didn't look like this 3 years ago, man. But you could see the budding potential there. You could see the ideas were right. The roster construction thought process was right. I felt most depressed last year as a Raptor fan because I didn't think the thought process behind the roster was right. Preserving Pascal and Fred. How can you ask a NBA champion to tank? Like, that's what drove me insane. This year, it feels like, okay, what's done is done. Now, what do you do? And I think the answer to now, what do you do has been good. So, yeah, thanks a lot. And yeah, I will end this video on a word from our sponsor, Pendance, which hilariously just trying to plug it everywhere I can, but really to the 2 hour and 30-minute after the TEDx talk, who's going to watch it? Who knows? But word from our sponsor. The Pendance Film Festival is happening February 22nd to 25th. It is a celebration of international films. It is a brilliant film festival in its 7th season. Prior to the COVID pandemic, it was the fastest growing film festival in the world. What is my affiliation with Pendance? What are they paying me to say this? Well, I am Pendance. I'm the festival director and founder of Pendance. It is my baby. And if you love great films, if you have a film lover in your life, this is a worthwhile event for you, happening in downtown Toronto at the Carlton Cinema. February 22nd to 25th. Make sure to check us out. Link is in the description below for tickets and passes. Tickets will go on sale soon. Passes are already on sale. Let's get to this.